Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. In this video, we're going to see some sniping positions, we're going to see some SPG positioning, we're going to see some spotting techniques, we're going to see some active and some passive spotting and some scouting. We're going to see some map strategy videos, what to do when the enemy is overrunning one of your flanks, and we're going to see some videos about the 3-5-7 matchmaking, how to take advantage when you're top tier and plow through and overwhelm your enemy because you're the top tier. So let's move on to the videos. Yeah, hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. The tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Arctic region. What I'm going to show you is a spotting maneuver that you can do on this map. See how many tanks you can spot. So you can see that what I'm doing is I'm driving to a little gap area. And if you can make it to this gap area, it's all open field. And on the open field, you can spot a lot of tanks. So it looks like I've spotted 5, 6, 7 tanks, plus got some spotting damage. And I was not spotted. All you got to do is make it to that little bush over there. You can snipe on those tanks if you want. I was able to do damage to that T-95. And I guess I was spotted. Then you have a place over here on the right that you can go to and park to avoid any incoming fire. Yeah, this tank is the AMX 1357 GF. It's a French Tier 7 light tank. It's also probably my favorite tank in the game, and the map is Murovanka. I like this tank because it's got a really nice gun on it. It reloads very quickly, and it's fast and it's nimble. I like this line of light tanks, the French light tanks. We're going to do some hit and run tactics over here. And one of the ways to do hit and run is to do it where there's a hill. And the reason why is because the enemy is preoccupied when they're next to a hill. They don't expect you to come jumping over the hill and pouncing on them. So what I like to do is find a tank that's sitting next to the hill, and then I jump on them. And almost always you can predict where their gun is going to be pointing. You can see there's a Tiger II up ahead. So that Tiger II looks like a good target. Again, he's going to be angling his tank in a certain way. He's going to have his gun pointed in a certain way. You want to come in from behind and take as many shots in the rear as you can and on the side. Avoid firing at the frontal armor. And here I go for my run. You got to watch that building. And that was it. That's a sample hit and run on the Tiger II. I did about 460 damage to the Tiger II. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots penetrated. Yeah, this tank is the AMX 1390. This is a French Tier 9 light tank. The map is Fisherman's Bay. I am going to get 3,700 spotting damage. I'm going to use a technique that I have shown in previous videos, so keep your eyes out. I don't see a lot of people doing this technique. It is a great active spotting technique. As you can see, I'm heading towards the enemy territory. There's a bunch of bushes over here, and you can park in these bushes and turn on your binocs, but you're not going to get a full view of the field. What you really need to do is head for this ridge over here, poke over the ridge. You can see I tried to sit in that grassy knoll, but I got spotted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run circles, and you want to run the circles in a certain order. You'll notice that the path I'm taking, my frontal armor is going to start heading towards the enemy. So when you do your circles, you want your frontal armor facing the enemy because it's stronger armor, and you're going to have to deflect the incoming shots. You don't want to do the clockwise circle and show your rear armor, especially on a light tank. Could easily set on fire. So what you have to do is you have to make the circles. You have to go up on the ridge high enough to get a view and spot tanks over the ridge, and then go back down. If you have tanks that are spotted, you don't have to go up, but keep the motor running. Keep driving. Don't stop. Speed keeps you alive. You'll notice that I use 2 repair kits in the game. I use a small and a large repair kit, and I don't use the fire extinguisher. Always keep someone targeted. Always keep someone targeted. If there's ever a reason why... If there's ever a reason why you might have to fire your gun, for example, if you get spotted or if someone comes after you, you want to keep somebody targeted so you can get ready to fire your gun. And the other reason why is because you want your gun pointed towards the enemy, because the stronger armor of your turret needs to point towards the enemy to deflect any incoming fire. So now the T-54, he did absolutely the right thing. He came after me. He knew that I was a threat. The game has shown 3,100 spotting damage. It did get up to 3,700, which was shown in the after-game report. But that's the technique. 3,700 spotting damage. Is that a good number? Yes, that's absolutely a good number. Now, the way you know it's a good number is because if you have to look at it this way. How much damage can you do in this game? I only did 177 damage. And you can do a lot more spotting damage in a game than damage. I've done like 8,000 spotting damage before with a light tank. I've never done that much damage with the gun. So you're doing a lot of help for your team by ranking up a lot of spotting damage. And the other thing is that T-54 lightweight, whatever tank it is, you have to pay attention to when you think the enemy might pull a maneuver like that. I didn't feel I was getting a lot of backup. Obviously, there was a lot of spotting damage, but I didn't feel that they were hitting enough of those tanks. I've had better games than this. So you got to watch out for things like that. You don't want enemy tanks coming after you and taking you out of the game prematurely. This tank is the A-44. This is a Russian Tier 7 medium tank. The map is Malinovka. Now you'll notice that we don't have a spotter taking up a good spotting position, so I decided to go out and spot. Part of the reason why is because I can do a lot more spotting damage than I can do damage with my gun. Unfortunately, I got spotted, so I'm going to have to come up with a different strategy, but watch the strategy that I use. I am going to get 2,600 spotting damage in this game, which is more than I'd be able to do if I were firing my gun, even though I am top tier on a 357 matchmaking game. Or is it 357? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this is 5-10 matchmaking. I'm going to keep trying to advance, but they're going to keep on spotting me, so I'm not going to be able to safely advance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take up an active spotting position. I'm going to go to where the rock is that would be on the encounter map. There's a little rock and there's a little hill area, and I've got a relatively low profile tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there. Over here I'm too far back to do any spotting, and I'm looking at my white circle and I only see a few tanks within the range. So I'm worried that I'm not going to really be able to spot anything. So I'm going to advance to the rock that you see in the distance, and I'm going to get closer. I'm going to do some spotting for my team. We're going to do some damage. You'll notice that I have 2 repair kits. With Artie in the game, you have to keep moving. You have to stay as low as possible. This is one of the positions that you're going to park in, right here next to this hill. And there's another position, which is right here next to the rock. Those are the 2 positions. You have to gauge where do you think you're safer and switch between those positions. Now look at what that Cromwell B is doing. Unfortunately, he is going to make it through. But luckily I was able to spot him, and my team was unable to take him out quickly. I screwed up using the auto aim. I should have aimed manually. And I'm going to miss my opportunity. So I messed up 2 shots. He's not going to last forever, obviously. Eventually he'll be taken out. I've only got 500 spotting damage right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on taking up different positions over here. You'll notice that the enemy is really focused on me. A lot of incoming fire. When there's a lot of incoming fire, you want to disappear. But if you sit still, you might not spot anything. So you have to decide. You have to decide when to hide and when to peek. I'm up to 1,400 spotting damage. 1,600 spotting damage. Just barely missed incoming fire. I'm going to screw up something. I'll explain why. They know I'm here, and there's somebody watching me. You can see a tree fell down in the distance there. But what's going to happen is I'm going to try and line up a shot, and I'm going to sit there too long, and someone's going to snipe me. Now, you'll notice what I'm doing is I'm going to a different position. And the reason why is because an enemy cannot watch 2 positions at the same time easily. So by switching between the 2 positions, you make it less likely that they're going to hit you on a lucky shot. I want to hit that KV-85. So I just got spotted. They know I'm here. I don't understand why my allies haven't taken him out of the game yet. There's a Jagdpanzer behind me. Why didn't he take out that KV-85? I don't know. I didn't see any incoming fire. So I'm getting concerned. I want things to happen. I got a lucky shot in. Can I make it 2 lucky shots? I don't know. Looks like somebody hit him. Here I'm taking way too long. And the Su-152 was watching me, and he took me out of the game. And that was the right move. I am going to get 2,600 spotting damage. It was definitely the right move for the enemy team. You want to take spotters out of the game. I was able to do a lot of damage for my team. And you'll find that a lot of games are won based on spotting. If you can spot the enemy team and remain hidden, you're going to win the game. And if you look at the mini-map, you'll see that the enemy is winning. They've got a lot of tanks out there. And we don't have anybody that's able to spot. The Type 58 is not in a spotting position. Our light tanks are out of the game. So I did the best that I could, and like I said, it's unlikely I would have caused 2,500 damage with my gun. If I had a good game, I might have done 1,000 damage. So doing 2,500 spotting damage with this tank was the right move. This tank is a 5916. This is a Chinese Tier 6 light tank. The map is Serene Coast. Normally I don't like this style of tank, but I've only played it a few games. I think this was when I was in South America. I'm playing from North America now, so that's why I have a high ping time. In North America, I have a lower ping time, and I'm assuming that I have better control and stability when I play the tank. This is a sniping and spotting position that I like to take on this map. This is a tank that you're going to do a lot of teamwork in. You're going to be spotting and hoping that your allies will snipe on whatever you're spotting. It's a teamwork-oriented tank. You see that they're taking shots on that OI. And look at the spotting position. Take a good look. It's basically these 2 bushes right in front of me. I've played this game many times. This is the best spotting position from the southern spawn that I've found. And I'm talking about on the east side. You can spot the heavy tanks on their way to the peninsula. You can spot tanks like the OI over there. They were both taken out of the game because I was able to spot them. So we got 2 kills of 2 important enemy tanks because of my spotting location. Now you'll notice that there's a 5916 and I have an ally that needs my help. So I went in and rescued my ally, and I got another ally over here who needs help. The enemy can only point their gun at one tank. You want to go 2-on-1 against the enemy as often as possible, and if this is obviously a 2-on-2 situation, but if it were a 2-on-1, the enemy can't point their gun at both tanks, so it's usually safe to go in a 2-on-1. So you can see we got 3 kills. Oh, we got another enemy coming in. This is going to be a 4th kill. I got 2 kills. But the point that I'm making is there were 4 enemy tanks that were threatening my allies, and I saw what was going on, and I went in and I took advantage of the 2-on-1 situation or 2-on-2, and I helped my allies. If I hadn't done that, they would have ganged up on my allies, they would have taken my allies out of the game, and I was able to keep some of my allies in the game by thinking quickly, reacting quickly, using the right strategy. In this case, I did take a while flanking around. Maybe it wasn't the fastest route. And I have a weakly armored tank, but it's the right thing to do. Not only keeping yourself in the game, but keeping your allies in the game and getting rid of those enemy tanks, especially those scout tanks. Yeah, this tank is the FV215B. This is a British Tier 10 heavy tank. The map is Live Oaks. Live Oaks is one of my favorite maps. The reason why is because I am a light tank player, and I like playing maps that have somewhat of an open field. You're going to see a very interesting maneuver. You're going to see a new location where almost no one plays. So watch where I'm going to go. This is ideal for tanks that are very tall, such as a Type 5 Heavy. It's going to work out well for this particular tank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover one of the access roads going into the town. So if tanks want to go into town, they're only going to be able to go so far before going in front of my gun. Oh, beautiful shot. Set him on fire. But it looks like he had firefighting crew skills, so he was able to put that fire out. If he had the fire, or he may have used a manual fire extinguisher. Now, I took 1,000 damage early on, but it's not going to matter. I'm going to have a great game. I'm going to get 3 kills. I'm going to do 4,600 damage. Now, you see where that Oho is? Not exactly the point that I'm going to play, but it's going to be somewhere in that area. If you look at the diagonal on the mini-map where the bat chat is, there's a little gap over there where you can shoot tanks as they're heading into town. That's why I chose this position, even though it's not an ideal position. But you can sit here and hit tanks on their way to town through that gap where I hit the bat chat. Now there's another gap where the STI is, which is in front of me. And I'm going to head for that area. And it's like I said, you never see people play in this position, but it's a very powerful position. So we've got an STI over here who wants to come out in the open, but I got my gun trained on him. I already got 1155 damage. So because I was spotted and was a little bit nervous, I got 394 on that STI, and I took 177 from the bat chat. But look at that. Can hit that IS-7. So you can see that they hit my tracks. Right here is the position I'm referring to. It's somewhat of a hull down position. And you can monitor this gap area. And obviously that was a waste of a shot right there. You hear a lot of bounces. I'm up to 1900 damage. Got another bounce. Now when you get into a side scraping position like that, You're going to switch to the high explosive rounds. You can see that I just switched to the high explosive rounds, and I'm going to be able to cause damage to his tank using the HE rounds. Did 117 damage. Did 203 damage. You see how much of that gap I can cover? 174 damage. Now, one thing that's important to remember, if a tank drives across this gap, it's going to be his side armor. And if you have high explosive rounds, or any round, but with high explosive rounds in particular, and you hit the engine in the right spot, you increase the chance you're going to set the enemy's tank on fire. And because it's side armor that you're going to be hitting if they drive across, a weaker tank can sit in this location and cause damage to many higher tier tanks. 183, I believe that was 3 or 4 shots using HE rounds. He's out of the game. That was 5 shots that I did using HE rounds on his side armor. Got up to 2,800 damage. So you can see there's a gap over there that I can shoot through. You can shoot all the way clear, so any tank that's heading to town has to go through that gap where I killed the Scorpion. I got 3,100 damage. Because I still have HE rounds, all I gotta do is nick their turret. Did 99 damage. If you only hit a little slice of damage, only see a little piece of their tank, you only have to show a little piece of your tank. I missed that shot. I really flubbed that shot. I've only got 1 HE round left. That's why I bring in a lot of HE rounds. Usually a third of my rounds are HE rounds, depending on what tank I use. And I switch rounds depending on what's appropriate. So the score is 13-10. We've got this FV. He's the last tank on this part of the map before we go after that Leo. He effed up on that. I did 549 damage. That was an HE round that I used. That's 2 kills, and as I told you, I'm going to get 3 kills in this game. I'll let you guess as to which tank the 3rd kill will be. So basically what's going to happen is the Leo, he's going to head back towards his base. We've got relatively slow tanks like the Maushin and the Oho, the Ferdinand, etc. Oh, I guess it's a Leopard. And the Ferdinand's going to have to come from the south. Some of the tanks are either going to be reluctant to head towards the Leopard, or they're going to be too slow. For whatever reason, I'm going to be the one that's in the position to make the shot. And I was hoping that the Ferdinand would take the shot, but the Leopard showed me his backside. So normally what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my ally get the kill. But because the Leopard's going to show me his backside, I decided to take the kill. So watch what's going to happen. He's on the other side of the rail, which is a smart thing to do. But the problem with what the Leopard is doing is he doesn't realize that being on that side of the rail is going to put him in the corner. I got a lucky shot in. He's down to a 1-shot. He's in a dumb position. He really wants to be behind us and to the south and more in the middle of the map. So here's the point where I'm thinking, okay, the Ferdinand's going to get the kill. I'm just going to push the Leopard towards the Ferdinand. The Ferdinand's going to have his gun pointing towards the Leopard. I have bad gun depression. But I saw a lucky shot and I took advantage of it. 4,600 damage, 3,700 blocked by armor. 3 kills. This tank is the Foch 155. This is a Tier 10 French tank destroyer, and the map is Kharkov. This is a 3-5-7 matchmaking game. I am the top tier. I looked at the enemy team and I saw a Grill is on the top tier. He's a potential threat. They tend to avoid inner city fighting. And we've got a few other threats like this Object 704. But I saw a lot of soft armor, so I thought I'd have an easy game. That's an example. That was 3 shots, 1980 damage. Very quickly, in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds, you could easily do 2,000 damage. Now I'm going to go for the long reload, which is 30 to 40 seconds. I'm going to get 4 kills. I'm going to do 5,600 damage. What you're going to learn is that a lot of people who get high damage games, a lot of it has to do with the tank that you use and the gun that you use and the tier that you're playing. And the Foch 155 is absolutely a tank that can do a lot of damage, which is why I'm going to be able to get 5,600 damage in this game. It's going to be a very interesting game. Now, because I know I have strong armor, and I thought that the Grill would be out in the field, even though he's in the city, he's going to die pretty quick. I knew that I would have weak opposition. So I decided to run through and kill as much as I can as quickly as I can. Get a little bit... Oh, the gun was in front of me. I was wondering what that was blocking my view. I didn't realize it was the gun of the enemy tank. But that's okay because he's out of the game. Now, the next thing that I did, I had 1 shell, and normally I would reload, but I said, oh, that's an easy tank. I'm going to go after him. But he was taken out by another tank. So I'm going to save my shell for an easy target, and there he is. And he's out of the game. You notice I'm going to hide behind this dead tank to give me some protection from the Scorpion. The Scorpion has a high penetration gun, so he could easily damage me if he aims properly. The score is 8 to 9. You'll notice that we have a TD that's capping, which is a very good maneuver. Someone's complaining about what he's doing, but it's a smart thing to do. In fact, I believe we're going to win this game by capping, but it's going to be later in the game. I got 3,900 damage. Score is 9 to 11. We're losing now, and we're going to have to find a way to pull through. Got 3 shells in the magazine. Notice how quickly I deplete. I deplete their hit points very quickly. You know, I can do a lot of damage with this gun. I'm up to 5,300 damage already. And I'm just going to pursue this E50, line up the shot, take him out of the game. The score is 11 to 12. The score is 12 to 12. Now, the WZ and I are the last two after the Object 704 gets taken out. And I realize that we're up against a T-55A AMX 13105. We got the guns, they got the mobility. I was a little bit worried. So what I did was I made sure that the WZ followed me around, especially because I have a long reload. It's going to be a while before I'm reloaded. So I notify the WZ that I would like him to stay close. I allow him to go in front of me because he reloads faster, and obviously because I'm not reloaded. But I don't want to be on his butt. I want to be enough in front, and I want to be enough behind him that he can bait the enemy. I want the enemy to spot him and pounce on him, and then I want to surprise the enemy with 3 rounds up the butt. It's not what's going to happen, but that was my plan. I'm keeping a certain distance behind the WZ, close enough to support him, but not so close that the enemy won't think he's vulnerable. I want the enemy to go after him. I did not like the fact that he went field. It was the wrong move. He should have stayed in the city because when he goes out in the field, it makes our side and rear vulnerable. When you stay in the city, your sides are protected, and your rear is somewhat protected because they have to get relatively close to you, but from here we could be shot from far away. You notice that I took a turn here, and the reason why was because I did not like being out in the field. I didn't want to go out in the field, but I allowed him to lead, and I had to make that choice. It's more important to stay together and to watch his back than to worry about whether or not we're in the field, especially because we got only 2 enemy tanks in the game, and they could be anywhere on the map. Try to anticipate where the enemy is going to show up, and I thought, well, this is likely where I think he's going to go. I think this is the best path. If the enemy were going to spot me, he's going to come down this little corridor over here. I'm going to line up my gun, and I'm going to get a lucky shot and take him out of the game. Now that AMX 105, he just might not be seen ever again. I don't know if he toppled his tank, maybe he spilled over on the side, but he's got 20 seconds to do something to reset the cap, and he's going to fail to do so. So the WZ and I, at this point, I'm always worried, you know, don't get off the cap. I want my ally to stay on the cap. You want to win the game by capping. We got 4 seconds left, and that's the game. 5,600 damage, 4 kills, victory by capping. This tank is the FV215B. It's a British Tier 10 heavy tank. The map is Mountain Pass. I am going to get 3 kills. I'm going to do 4,100 damage. And I'm going to show you what the 357 matchmaker is like. I'm going to take advantage of the fact that I'm top tier on a 357 matchmaking game. So one of the things that I do, as soon as I'm in a 357 and I'm top tier, I look at the enemy team and I try to determine who I'm going to be up against. Is there another tank that I need to be worried about who's equally matched to me? In this case, you can see it's going to be a T-57 Heavy and a Jagdpanzer E-100. So if they're not on my flank, I'm going to push through on my flank as quickly as possible and try to kill everything quickly and easily, and not worry about taking damage or anything like that, because my stronger armor and my stronger gun is going to allow me to do that. If I see the Jagdpanzer or the T-57, I'm going to play a little bit of a different strategy. I'm going to try and take them out as quickly as I can, and I'm going to push my team as quickly as possible to plow through the enemy. If you watch my videos, you know I hate the brawling aspect of the game. And I really don't like having to do the side scraping and all the brawling stuff and the close combat. I really don't like it. I like to play fast, light tanks. I like to zip around the map and flank enemy tanks. And you really can't do that with the brawling aspect. And Mountain Pass, unfortunately, is the type of map where you have to brawl with few exceptions. At least now in the higher tiers you have to brawl. Now that tank couldn't possibly take me out easily. I got 2 shots on him before he fires at me. I'm rotating my tank so that my gun follows quickly, and it keeps my stronger armor pointed towards the enemy as much as possible. So we got him out of the game and took very little damage. I only received damage on 1 shot, and there was 1 ricochet, and I got 3 shots in against him. Easy. I flubbed that shot, but it's going to be easy to damage that tank. You'll notice I switched to the high explosive rounds as soon as I saw the T-34. And the reason why is because I'm going to be able to damage that turret. You'll notice I did 137 damage. That's one of the strongest turrets in the game. If I used AP, it would probably have ricocheted, and that's why I bring about 1/3 of my rounds are HE rounds. And I don't like to use the APCR rounds. And I also don't like to sit here doing nothing, so I think very quickly about what I'm going to do. And I made my decision. I decided to go after the Tiger. He was already taken out. Now I'm going to go after the T-34B. He's no match for me. I'm not going to worry about my armor or my hit points. I'm just going to go in after him and take him out of the game. And I've got an HE round loaded. It's probably going to kill him in 1 shot. Unfortunately, I did take some damage. I did not use my repair kit. I do have a fast reload. British tanks do tend to have a fast reload, so I was able to kill him very quickly before he reacted properly. I got 1777 damage. Still using the HE rounds. 544 damage. That was 544 damage on a tier 9 medium tank using an HE round. It takes a long time to learn how to use HE rounds, so I advise you to practice. That was 370 damage. That was a standard round, I believe. You got to know when to switch between rounds. Scores 11-6. I could easily use an HE round against the Scorpion. I currently have 2,900 damage. So again, my strategy was to not worry. We didn't see the T-57 Heavy and we didn't see the Yag Tiger. Oh, there's the T-57 Heavy. I was aware that the Yag Tiger was in a different part of the map. I forgot to mention it while during the replay. But during the game, I was aware of where they were. Okay, so remember, when you're at the top on a 3-5-7 game, look at the enemy team, look at the same tier, try to anticipate who you think is the worst threat. Keep an eye out during the game for where they show up on the minimap. If they're not on your flank, push through your flank as quickly as possible. Don't worry too much about taking damage or about incoming shots because your stronger armor will protect you. If the enemy tanks are 2 tiers lower, use HE rounds. They'll do more damage and they're likely to penetrate. If you have any questions about the 3-5-7 matchmaking, you can watch my previous videos. The past 2 or 3 videos have had 3-5-7 matchmaking videos. This tank is the Lorraine 155-51. It's a French Tier 8 SPG, and the map is Airfield. If you like to play SPG, you're going to want to watch this game. Look at where I'm heading. I'm on the east side. Look at the position that I'm heading to, and you're going to find this is a very powerful position right there on the map. Watch what I'm going to be able to do. You can see that I can hit tanks that are in this popular area for heavy tanks. And I'm testing around to see what I can hit. And you're going to see that this is a very flexible position. And there's a lot of different areas, popular areas that you're going to be able to hit. So obviously you can hit tanks that are on their way to battle. You can hit tanks here in the south. Look at the mini-map. And you can see that even though we won in the south, I've got clear shots on that alley. Look at where I am on the mini-map. Look at the sniping position. We're going to get to it at some point. But this is where I'm checking out to see where I can hit. Here's the sniping position. If the Leopard weren't there, I was going to examine that sniping position. But notice that there's a sniping position to the left of the Leopard that tanks like to use, and I can hit those positions. And I can hit where, for example, the Tiger II is and the FV215B183, who I seem to recall I'm going to later kill in this game. So you've got clear shots over here, you've got clear shots in the south, you've got clear shots on the road, you've got clear shots on this sniping plateau. It's a very powerful position. And the enemy is going to win in the area where the heavy tanks like to play. You can, if you look at where the FV215B is on the minimap, you're going to see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to be able to defend against that position also. So all these tanks are within my range. So you see where that FV, look at where he is, and you'll notice I can hit him also. And I'm checking the positions to see where I can hit. You got to measure with your aiming reticle. Landed a shot right on him. so if you've tried many different positions, you'll know that it's very difficult to find a position that lines up perfectly. I was able to find one finally for the east side. For the west side, I have the feeling that the J1 area is probably going to have similar advantages, but I haven't tried it out yet. Or at least I haven't tried it out knowing all the different possibilities. That was a sloppy shot. If you can use the food consumable, very important to use the food consumable to improve your aiming and your aim time. The reason why I'm not using the food consumable right now is because I'm trying to save money. I'm only using it when I'm trying to complete a mission. The current mission that I'm working on is SPG 15 War Gods for the Object 260. Have to do 3,500 stun damage and be #1 for experience for both teams. I was able to get 3,500 stun damage, but it was to complete a different mission. One of the other SPG missions, which was 3,000 stun damage. So it is possible. You can see that I can hit tanks in that little sniping plateau. I can protect against where that STRV is. I got 981 damage, 299 stun damage. That was not fully aimed, but luckily I got the hit. I got 1179 damage. So here's an example of a tank up on the plateau. I have a clear shot of him, and he's out of the game. I can defend if the FV tries to advance against my team. Take him out of the game. That's 1 kill. And the game's almost over. And that's the game. Yeah, this tank is the FV3805. This is a British Tier 9 SPG, and the map is Karelia. Now, usually on this map, I try to line up in a certain area because I want to hit all those heavy tanks. I was working on a mission to do 3,000 stun damage, and I did complete the mission. It probably was not in this game, but you want to find areas where there's tanks that are grouped up, where you'll find 2 or 3 tanks grouped together. That was just a wild shot. You can see that me and the Object 261 are going to be in about the same position. And from here, what I'm able to do is I'm able to fire at the enemy tanks that are going to line up on the northern corner. There's 2 things you got to be wary about. Number 1, you don't want to get spotted. You see where this WZ is going? He could potentially spot me, so I got to watch out for that tank. You'll notice that the Object 261 is taking off early. You want to avoid being spotted, and number 2, if you don't have enough allies defending on that side, the enemy is going to overrun the position, and you got to be out of there as quickly as possible. The Object 261, he's going to go a lot further away than I am. He's going to move a lot faster. I'm going to be a little bit slower to get out of here, and one of the reasons why is because I like to fire my gun as much as possible. Normally what I do is as soon as I'm reloaded, I turn around and fire my gun, but this is a risky position right here because we have enemy tanks that are overrunning our positions on the east. There's going to be a lot of interesting shots in this game. So you can see that the enemy has pushed forward on the east side. We've only got a T-30 left defending, and I cannot safely remain in this position. You have to reposition your SPG based on what happens, changes on the front lines, or being able to line up shots, or keeping yourself alive in the game. You want to pay attention to what's going on in the game and move to safety as soon as you can. So you can see I was able to hit those 2 tanks. I got 4 damaging hits so far. Always aim for the front of the tank if it's moving forward. You know, you're going to try and aim to where you think the tank will be, and you have to estimate the amount of time it takes for the shot to get there. I'm relatively close to the enemy tank, so my shot's going to get there rather quickly. The Object 261, he's got twice the distance. His shot's going to take us twice as long to get there, so he has to give more leeway, more lead on his shot. Now the position I'm going to, this is basically where I'm going to stay for most of the remainder of the game. And same with, and the Object 261 will probably also stay in that position. We're going to play the remainder of the game from these positions as our team falls apart. But it's going to be an interesting game. Unfortunately, that shot was across the map. It was the full length of the map. And it wasn't aimed in completely, but it was mostly aimed in. So it perhaps didn't do any damage. When you play with an artillery, you want to make every shot count, especially if you like to use food consumables. I like to use food consumables with certain artillery units because it allows you to aim faster and reload faster and all the other advantages of the food consumable. Now, when you look at that shot, I only did 33 damage, and you have to ask yourself, is it really worth it to do only 33 damage per shot? I am a tier 9. You have to gauge the tank that you're shooting at. Do you think it has weak armor or not? And he is a higher tier than me. His armor is relatively strong. So obviously I'm going to do less damage. What do you think is going to happen here? If I want to save this guy, I got to really aim in very accurately and very closely, very carefully, because I could easily damage an ally. So you can see I was able to take out that ally, I'm sorry, that enemy tank, and my allies, you see he said thank you in the chat message. So he was happy that I was able to take that tank out. Very risky maneuver. You do have to make sure that you aim accurately. The aiming circle, or the ellipse in that case, your shot's going to land somewhere within that ellipse. So you want to make sure that your allied tanks are outside of that ellipse. And they won't get hit by the shot. That doesn't mean that they're not going to take damage from splash damage. Okay, so you can see I moved to a more northern position. I seem to recall that what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the south. Me and the SPGs, we're going to be the last ones left in the game. So I don't want to get too close to him. I want to stay more in the south position. He's going to watch the north. So I'm only going to go so far north. I don't have a good spotting range, and I can only spot so far. But you got to do the best that you can. Now this is going to be very interesting. Watch what's going to happen here. We got to reset this cap. Watch what my allied artillery does, and watch what I do. I took a random shot and I missed. Now my allied artillery, he took a T-49, enemy T-49 out of the game. Now the IS-7, he's sitting on the cap, and you can guess where he's going to be on the cap, and that's where that IS-7 is. He's sitting right behind the rock. This is the point that I decided I was going to go and watch the south. I was going to go spot for the south and allow my ally. And you see, what he did was he just reset the cap shooting in that position. So I decided to do the same. And I also reset the cap. Unfortunately, there was another tank there, a bat chat. and I notified my ally that I hit that IS-7 at the same spot, give him a little bit of more additional information. But that's the game. It was a very interesting game, had some unique shots, a lot of positioning. If you have any questions or comments about this game, please post below. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is the T-49. It's an American Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Stalingrad, I believe. This is one of my favorite tanks in the game. With the derp gun, I absolutely adore playing the hit-and-run tactics. What I do is I try to find a target tank. You can see I did 730 damage in one shot. You want to look for vulnerable tanks, tanks that have weak armor, tanks that are isolated, tanks that are preoccupied. Run up on them and hit them. Now, it's very difficult to play light tanks on a city map. However, not so true with derp guns. When you have a derp gun, playing in a city map is to your advantage because you can sneak up behind somebody, come around the corner, blast them, and run away and reload, and they can't go after you. Now, what's important about this game is sometimes you have to know, you have to gauge whether or not you think you're winning or losing, and whether or not you should cap or reset cap. And this is one of those games where I had to make one of those decisions. You've seen lots of games where you could have capped, or you're at 99% and somebody gets off, then the team loses, or where the enemy's capping and nobody goes to reset. You got to be able to gauge the proper time to cap. And you'll notice that I'm getting on the cap early in the game. With this type of a derp gun, you want to be close to the enemy before firing. You'll notice that I'm going to sit on this cap. And the reason why is because I want to put pressure on the enemy team. I want them to worry. I want them to send 2 or 3 tanks to withdraw from the flanks. When they're coming to the cap, the enemy team, they can't fire their guns. They're making it easier for my team to win their flank. You can look at the mini-map and see what's going on. And you can see that the enemy is also capping. So it was a smart thing to get on the cap. We've got 2 capping. The enemy has 2 capping. If we didn't pull the capping maneuver, the enemy's now got 3 on the cap, they would have won the game. And when you lose the game, you lose like half of your EXP. So it's a very important strategy to be on the cap and to protect whoever has the most capping points. So you can see that this Object 704 took a shot into the ground, but we captured the base. They did too little too late. They were too slow to come back and reset, and we pulled 6-11 to a victory. This tank is a GW Tiger P. This is a German Tier 8 SPG, and the map is Erlenberg. Now in this game, what's going to happen is watch the T-49. The T-49 is at the southernmost position. He's going through the F sector. He's approaching an AMX 1390. Watch what he does. Keep your eye on that mini-map. Notice that the T-49 is all the way in the south of the map, and he died. But what's important is that he did not spot any enemy tanks. That means that the enemy went to the east side. They lemminged to the east side. We have most of our tanks on the west side. But what's going to happen is the enemy is going to overrun our tanks on the east side. And I wanted to type a message. Normally I type a message saying we have too many on the west side. The enemy has lemming to the east side. You have to either reinforce the east side or you have to push south on the west side. And I've done it before, and everybody always ignores you. It's rare that anybody's going to react, and I'm not saying that it hasn't happened before, but I was trying to decide, how am I going to handle this situation? I want to line up my tank. I don't particularly like this tank. It's got a long reload. It's a slow tank, and I realize that we're going to get overrun. I'm going to have to reposition. And I talk about this strategy in previous videos. When the enemy overwhelmingly goes to one side, you have to take advantage of the side that they left undefended, and you have to advance as quickly as possible. You can see that the HWK-12 is starting to go south and the T-34, and we're starting to get reinforcements, but it's going to be too little too late. Score is 0-4. So I was spotted, and I'm trying to head back to the other side of the map for safety, and you can see that the enemy team is already overwhelming us on the east side. The score is 1-5. Now the proper thing to do in this case is for all of the sniping tanks to set up sniping positions. You want your allies to set up sniping positions. What they did is they started heading to the river. That's a mistake. They're going to go a little bit too far forward, such as the STRV S1 in the A6 area. He went too far forward. You want to have a group of tanks spotting the enemy advance and everyone else sniping from as far away as possible. I was too slow to react. I should have left more quickly, but I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go in, take my one shot, reposition. But unfortunately, because this is a slow SPG, I was too slow to react. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I wanted to show you that I made the wrong decision and my team made the wrong decision, and that caused the enemy to win this game because we didn't react properly. So again, if you identify that the enemy team is overwhelmingly on one side, you want to either reinforce that side immediately, which means everybody has to do it, or you want to push through to close up the southern flank and surround the enemy as quickly as possible, which we didn't do. So we did too little too late, and you want to set up the snipers. What's going to happen is they're going to advance and they're going to pick off our snipers because our snipers don't have good sniping positions. Okay, let's move on to the next video. Yeah, hello, this is Dave. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my videos. If you enjoyed these videos, you're going to find that there's a lot of videos in this series that are going to be similar to this. They're going to have various spotting techniques, various scouting techniques, sniping positions, SPG positioning, map strategies, a mixture of everything. Basically what it is games from the past week that I thought were interesting, and I compile them all into one video. And like I said, they're interesting beyond just getting lots of damage and lots of kills. They're map strategy and tactical videos, hopefully to improve your gameplay. If you look at my videos, you're going to find that I have a lot of strategy and tactical tips in almost all of my videos. I've got a lot of good videos that you might be interested in, such as how to set the engine on fire, lots of light tank spotting and scouting videos, lots of SPG positioning, lots of map strategy, and there's a lot of tutorials like how to get your crew EXP, how to maximize EXP. I have a great crew EXP video which shows, like, I don't know, 100 different ways to increase your crew EXP. So it goes in great detail of every possibility for improving your crew EXP, everything you could possibly do. And there's more. There's videos about WN8 and how to win games and about stat padding. It goes into great detail. If you like my videos, please subscribe. I don't have a lot of subscribers. It's very difficult to justify making lots of videos. I have the ability to make videos every day, lots of great videos, but I don't have enough subscribers to justify all the time that goes in. I spend many hours making videos. Today I probably spent 3 or 4 hours working on today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.